Okay, yes, the news out of Texas with not only this ridiculous voting bill and carrying around guns without permits, but the abortion bill. And so this poem is about that subject. It's called The Burning Bush. Waking with the dawn, where we pitched our tent just south of Bakersfield, heading north, I'd forgotten how cold the nights are here, how beautiful the sunrise from where I lay bleeding from a legal abortion granted me in an LA clinic, not available in Salt Lake where we lived, and only enough cash for the clinic, none for travel. So we stuck out our thumbs there and back. The getting there was beautiful, passing through the mountains and down on to the valleys, blazing with light and color. A couple of long rides. The way back was worry about the bleeding mostly, and the rides were few. One with a couple who asked why we were out on the road, and when I told them, they put us out with a dose of Christian charity. Thou shalt not kill. That morning, I awoke to the sunrise, stiff, cold, smelled smoke. Looked up to see a burning bush, and in the distance, fire. Chaparral igniting with matchstick speed, like the second coming. We did not burn in those hellfires, but got a ride out with kinder folk, with kids, water, food. I kept the reasons for our travels to myself this time and did not regret my choice. That was in 1972, before Roe v. Wade was really effective anywhere in the country, especially Salt Lake City, Utah. This one's a little bit of a happier note. This is about my husband and I out setting crab traps this summer. Setting crab traps on a windy morning. Coming back on a following sea, leaving the white-capped waves off Piner Point behind us. I watch your face, relaxed now, knowing the trouble has passed, and soon we'll reach safe harbor. We're getting old, a hard truth. Our bodies do not respond like they once did, and look as worn with time. But your eyes, my love, your eyes are still the color of the sea.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Leopoldo. Well, I'm going to read a couple poems from my new chapbook, which some of you lovely people have. I don't yet have mine, but I know the cover looks something like this. And anyhow, here we go. How to go at it. With fertile velocity, no fake scraping or bowing. A meticulous approach, because key moments are both fragile and profound, swift to quash with a stumble. Through the gate to this garden, we find thistles and birdvetch, as well as roses. Notice how bees visit all blooms, not only those sown by hands. Inhale this sweetness, this tang. This one is also in the new chapbook. Occasion. On occasion, the threat is real, and you have seen it. Nerve endings are many and astute.
There was an anti-know-nothing party mayor, so they were trying to reassert their power. But these gang members began attacking people at a particular.
Are people hearing this stuff that
describe it, but they go a little overboard. Newspapers in this period exaggerate.
I'm going to start that one again, and
it looks like it's
ask folks to check their mute, please.
Just a second here. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm going to be doing a little extra muting here. Okay, I think we're going to be all right. My gosh, this is okay. Here we go. Now you're back in the spotlight. And
Thanks, Leopoldo.
all right.
This poem is called Occasion, and it's also in my new chapbook, held together with tape and glue. On occasion, the threat is real, and you have seen it. Nerve endings are
Pam, you went mute.
and I don't know what that was. All right, third time, maybe this is gonna work here. I'm
It's
gonna
gonna
start
work.
the poem over
Three
again.
times. Click your heels 3 times.
Sorry about that, everybody. Occasion. I'm making it into an occasion. On occasion, the threat is real, and you have seen it. Nerve endings are many and astute. Perhaps you understand. Tragedies spool from every source, not the sight of blood, but its scent and taste draw the shark. As obediently undertaken as an assignment, as a suspension of ordinary time, carry your blaze always to undo acts of evil men. Share an unworldly weight of sun rays in these woods. Follow the unfamiliar drums when the maple turns. See the pale gibbous glow. Most miss the mid-morning moon, the whole ocean of dreamed life. A friend was just recommending to his son that he read Walden, a teenage son. And I was remembering when I first read it, what a surprise it was to find out that like marching to a different drummer was an expression that he made up. I had no idea Thoreau made up so many expressions. The next little batch that I'm going to read are ransom note poems like this. And I'll show them quickly before I read them. So that's the first one. Oh, beautiful no one, we need art celebrating welcome away from home and brighter centers. We can create time together, more than memorable, open, unlimited, yellow. This is the next one. Friends, thank you so much for space to raw. Your fine battles minted change to all strategies, to complete being at the head of all time. Beginnings defy the monolith. I know that is poetry. Notes will wander from the point, in witness whereof voices flash happy, happy expectations, and eyes bring in other senses to describe pastry. Good tidings of great energy state how to trust special instructions in minutes, how to live inside celestial joy anytime, anywhere, to source this sacred country. This is my last ransom note poem. We became dissatisfied, alert, and modern. We are in a cafe exploring better outcomes. Art thrives. Wilderness causes wealth. Postcards plant cat-like change. Join us for an island of connected gesture. And I'm going to finish with another poem that's from my new chapbook. Relined. Look at the world as if for the first time. Beside us, rivers, a sense of passage to carry yourself into its next version. Or I am wrong. All lines dissolve long before a few traditions quietly drift to a shadowy corner. Birds sing more complex melodies. Air brings salt to already salty face. You brought into this singular nebulous embrace patience to carry yourself into its next version. When will we fly? Not by chance. You sing with me to carry yourself into its next version.
Oh, thank you so much. I have been working on some poems about Iceland, where my forebears came from. And so I'm going to start out with one called Learning Icelandic. Learning Icelandic, and there's a little epigraph here. Imagine you came to an island in the Mediterranean where everyone spoke Latin, and that's from an Icelandic guide. In this language, we believe in ghosts that scratch at the window, blow out the candle, frighten the cat. We listen for the huldafolk that hide in Nabi lava, live in moss and mister. They tease the dog, torment the sheep. Now they scramble across my book. Their mischief sticks burrs to my tongue. Words thicken in my mouth. Cling to the page, dark and thorny. Shift shape for gender, case, inflection. Letters, bird tracks in the snow. A witch lives in the rock. Learn her name. And the names of the two ravens, Hunin and Munin, that Odin gave the gift of speech. They fly over the earth, sit on his shoulders, whisper in his ears all he would know of the world, of the Hester and Kinder that graze on the croft, the Hustmother at her wheel, spinning the coarse threads out, how the Bondi looked out to the sea, how the fishermen in their small boats set their sails into a bitter wind. And there were a couple of Icelandic words there that I threw out. Bondi is a farmer, a hester, a horse, and a kinder, those are the horses and lambs. And of course, bitter is an Icelandic word, but I think you probably got it. So anyway, learning Icelandic. And this next poem is called In a Country of Wool, 1890. The smell of wool, piles of sheep's sheared wool to be carded between the ratcheted teeth of carding boards until it lifts like white clouds, then spun at the spinning wheel, wound on a spindle, from spindle to balls of yarn, tasks for children's hands, lest the devil find them work. Now all hands busy, the soft click of needles spill out the year's thick stockings, sweaters, shawls, gloves, and hats. The wool undyed, the natural colors of sheep woven in a complex design, in a country of wool. The smell of fresh caught fish, fish nets laid out to dry and mend, fish warehouses at the docks, fish drying stiff as laundered shirts on racks, fish salt cured in barrels, fish smoking, fish boiling, pickling, that scent on hands, on skin, on hair, in a country of fish. Geyser explodes, blasts boiling water, sprays a cloud of hazy vapor, the smell of sulfur and steam, plumes like wind's feathers, burst skyward, join clouds that float down from the mountain, fog that climbs up from the sea, in a country of mist. In dim light, a woman recounts a dream. She tells how the ocean flashes with light. Silver pours into the deep. They will go out now while the herring run. She will row the open boat. He will set the nets. Night illuminated by the glow, the aurora borealis flaring, flashing emerald green across the horizon under the ice blue glint of Arctic stars. The fish will fill the empty nets in a country of dreams. So those are a couple of my Icelandic poems. I'm working on several to put together for a small chapbook that I think is going to be called In a Country of Wool. We'll see. Okay, and then I have one more that I'm going to read. A recent poem. In fact, I think I just finished. I just finished it this afternoon. And this is a story, a true story out of my childhood. Another story out of my weird childhood, called Wild Animals. We lived with ibex, leopards, wildebeest, bushbox, a kudu, a sable and a nyala in the kitchen, a caracol in the hall. We had moved out. While we were gone, the animals moved in. Our home, a kind of mausoleum. Large mounted beasts cast shadows on our play. Glass eyes stared into dead space, places we couldn't see. We ran below their furred heads. They dwarfed our small bodies. No matter how loud we screamed, they were still and silent, didn't blink. Their horns spiked the air like a bad dream in daylight. Dad's friend Bruce killed them all. I didn't like to think about their deaths in the heat of an African afternoon, the sound the leopard made when she dropped, and the wildebeest, bullet to the brain. At night, they padded upstairs to my room, carried with them their memories from the savannah, filled my head with their visions. They dwelled with us a year or so. Then one day they left as mysteriously as they had arrived, like the fog that drifted in from the ocean and held us, then lifted up and was gone. That's it from me. Thank you.
So this poem is a continuation of my last one, and it's I have a series that I'm planning called The Asylum. Basically, this describes my journey through, mental wards. And the first one was about the breakdown, and the next one, this one, called To the Emergency Ward. So here we go. Son and I set forth on the road to emergency. He drove silent and grave. I have never seen this father. He will recover. I will be brave. Storm-tossed, clinging to reason remaining, I arranged for the near future. Before my reason ceases to function, myself I leave in your sole care. Carry me on your broad back, my son. Speak Tamil. None else need comprehend. My voice broke and I could not speak. All answers were in my mind. Arrived, the answers to paper committed, the psychiatric resident visited, beautiful and compassionate, triggered in me a spasm of lunacy. Spoke Hindi the whole time, recited Rahim's couplets, denied I was Muslim, recited Forte il lieto a morte Andrei. Plain speech was getting better. Quizzed the doctor, recited pi value to 8 decimal places, performed impromptu additions, subtractions. The nadir of my life was upon me. To the rescue, habits of a lifetime, a disciplined calm, a desire to maintain the vestiges of dignity.
So what I'm going to read, a few poems that this summer Donald Byrd put on, a choreographer Donald Byrd, for folks who don't know him, put on an event that was online, and he asked several of different poets to write poetry that was a connection between Afrofuturism and climate change. And so I was one of the poems that he asked. And so I've written several poems, and I will read those to you now. Never ending. Our feet planted on this iron rock, we look to the sky to view what our sun chooses to illuminate, knowing our souls call us beyond these feeble limits to follow the steely determination of our imaginations until we find the source of our waking dream. A lost diamond of the patriarchal society. You covered me in darkness, unaware the moon and stars became my playmates. You took away the sunlight, not seeing my roots growing beneath your feet. You separated me from sight, oblivious I fomented revolution in the shadows. Just because you can't see me doesn't mean I'm not here. Breathe, children, breathe. Breathe, children, breathe. Stars swirl round my apron, spun dust-like from the first drumbeat of life. Breathe, children, breathe. Dance with me between the minuscule luminous orbs, recall the magnificence suspending them, reclaim its profound beauty. Breathe, children, breathe. Gaze into the moonless night, see the black beauty of all birth clinging to my skin in layers deeper than time's memory. Breathe, children, breathe. Hold the orgiastic ebony energy that powers all light, manifesting thought into being, faith into biology. Breathe, children, breathe. Close your eyes, come close. Remember before the dream, before flesh and bone, we were one. Breathe, children, breathe. Night is your name for me. Day is your infinitesimal illusion. Take off the mask. See me so you can finally see yourselves. Breathe, children, breathe. Prequel. Who doesn't love the river? Bustling, caroming, lollygagging, drifting, nurturing the willow with the tadpole and the daffodil with the crocodile, coursing through valleys, jumping down gulches, leaping over canyon walls, carrying dreams of generations. But who is it that loves the blizzard, stopping us in our tracks, impeding commerce, inconveniencing our daily plans, adding snow to the mountaintops, building frozen lakes that nurture headwaters until spring's warm breath sets them free to become the river? Dark matter. We are the black firmament of all beginnings, birthing stars and moons, planets and comets. We are the force, holding celestial reality in suspension with imagination, sparking life from the collision of aspiration and determination. We are the force, focusing thought into action, squeezing reality out of dream time, revealing life disguised as endings, carving paths through shifting sands of memory. We are the force between letters and words, notes and melodies, numbers and formulas, quarks and beings. We are the force, coaxing seeds beyond their shells, singing buds into blossoms, dancing fields into universes of life, feeding the planet. We are the unseen, the unacknowledged force, holding meaning in place, birthing reality from fantasy. We are the force, nurturing nation souls with music, dance, art, and theater, nourishing the world with kernels carried from ancestral memory. We are the dark matter binding time to space, defining the existence of all things, animating the inanimate. Our extinction signals the unraveling of universes seen and unseen. We are the force. Spring blossoms. Recognize the fallow time, when nothing happens above ground, as earth feeds seeds in darkness, and earthworms turn detritus from the active seasons into mulch and peat and dirt. Does the seed despair of the blackness that surrounds it? Does it fear transformations happening within? Is it aware there is possibility in its future? Can it tell what it will become? Then comes that violent moment. The seed bursts and life surges upward against gravity, forces its way toward the sun, pushes the darkness out of its way, losing part of its protective coating, unsure what the consequences will be, aware it can no longer stay confined in comfort, proclaims itself a new thing upon the earth. We smile at the crocus or the daffodil, not comprehending the revolution behind its birth, dangerously diminishing the potential of our own insurgency. And this poem, this last poem, Re-evolution. So it is we come again to the fork between extinction or change. History holds out hope and despair, generations electing competitive wars, generations choosing collaborative peace. Can we redefine winning to bring wholeness? Will we re-envision power to empower community? Do we see paths forward to create a new reality? We whose footfalls drum the earth and hearts beat to her song, whose eyes see future generations and ears hear stories yet unspoken. We who feel the universe's breath, whispering wisdom from multitudes of ancestors who have stayed behind to till the soil and clean the watery veins. We are the tenders finding our way back, making ways out of no way, building connections where they have been broken by greed and domination. We are the re-evolutionaries, inviting Earth to join the chorus of the universe, let go the ways leading back to nowhere, take the path to the new way of human being, join the new dance of life.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back, but I'm not sure. Almost when you said that's it for the night, I was like, thank God for that, because that was just wonderful, Lola. And I've not heard you speak before, but that was just so powerful. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to read 4 poems. I've been doing a...
Yeah.
I think somebody's not muted again. Okay.
I'm going to now patrol the muting thing here. Okay, who's unmuted? Okay, I got him. Okay, that took care of that. Let's see. Okay, we should be ready to go.
Okay. So I've been doing some 30-day poetry marathons, as Sigrun Susan has also done, with a poet called Lisa Gert. And you are tasked to write a poem a day for 30 days with the weekends off. And so I now have a cache of poems, but most of them have not been revised, but these 4 I managed to do some work on. The first one is called Rukaiser's Invitation, and it's from, has an epigraph from the poet Muriel Rukeyser. What would happen if one woman told the truth about her life? The world would split open. I am struck down, not by the unforeseen heat of the desert in spring, but by a 1/4-inch raised crack in the degraded sidewalk, enough to send me flying, to send my dog full of terror into a road choked with cars as I land hard, the air knocked out of me. He is almost hit twice while I lie on the ground, unable to do anything but watch. The time I broke my leg, slipped on 1/2 inch of snow in the Blue Mountains outside Sydney 5 years ago, I knew something inside me was already broken. And in Sydney, I waited a month. This time I waited 2 weeks, went reluctantly for an X-ray, to be questioned, to be told, yes, you have fractured ribs. But it is more than that with my chest, was more than that with my leg. Because broken bones are not just broken bones, not just that. A girl that is flung against a wall like a rag doll for no good reason is much more than just that. A machete resting by a locked kitchen door is much more than just that. A Glock always loaded, waiting to be held, is much more than just that. And if you don't want to hear what I'm saying, look away. Have you ever known the moment when your heart snaps in two? All the joy you've tried to hold close floods out into the world. That is why our bones break, like the brittle branches of a tree in winter, hollow, mere props for our bodies. The next poem is no happier, called Carousel. The doe staked through, impaled as she jumped the spiked fence, her hooves cracking the frosted top of graying snow, billowed up beneath her. It's April, but the snow is late to melt. Blood and entrails spill from her belly, iridescent, crimson fading to a bruised pink stain. An udder nicked by the metal leaks milk. Her eyes stare straight ahead, shocked disbelief. The silence is leaden. The wind kicks up from nowhere. I smell her, her innards, her spoiled flesh, her mid-flight death. I think of the south of France, Montpellier, Avignon, Orange, Arles, towns where my son, age 5, rode the carousels, clutching red tickets sold in blocks of 10. How dizzy I became, watching him go round and round, up and down, to the clanging organ music playing across the square. How one morning at a cafe I sipped Campari and soda to settle my stomach. How that evening I tucked him in, lay awake beside him, nauseous from the midday sun, listened as he slept, the rise and fall of his breath. And I've always liked to write tankas, so this is a 2-stanza tanka, late summer. During humid days, I am here. My only friends are insects resting in the cracks of stones. A lone grasshopper perches on a fallen leaf. I watch clouds seep over the hills and gather my books, head home before lightning strikes. And this is the last poem I'm going to read. Hope. Late summer, our sun-bleached bones, weary of the city, we headed to the coast, found the farthest beach away from crowds, where the baying wind had already begun to flatten the dune grass. We walked so far along the edges of ragged waves to the tide pools, where crabs idled in anemones. I was cautious, afraid to slip, but you extended your hand as always to help me. I knew you were tired when you knelt, picked out a pebble from the many hustling for position under our feet. I was tired too, so I knelt down beside you. Keep this one for me, you said. Give it a name, a nod to a habit I'd acquired over the years. You put your hand on my shoulder for balance, as though I was the steady one. Reached over and dropped hope, still damp, into my hand. I didn't understand then, or why for a second you closed your eyes. After you left, I kept the smooth stone under my pillow, slept through the red burn of autumn until the glaze of winter arrived, until snow dusted the tips of desert peaks. Then finally I woke, rose reluctantly, looked out on another country, abject and jagged, placed hope on one of the many little altars in our home, prayed to all and anything you'd be back. Thank you.
These poems. Two of them are within the last 2 years for a book that I'm working on, and I just have a brand new one I was going to read tonight too. This is called Broken People. This was written about a year ago. In fact, in autumn, we're going into autumn now, and this is almost a year later. Broken people, scattered steeples, the callow fall of leaves, wet in piles, sidewalks gleam in the old monastery. Summer's airy sun print diatom, descending to earth as Helios reinvents symmetry. Floral liquid lime divides the asphalt black on the street where memories walked. The St. Francis Mission, still stately serene, monks at prayer in the stained glass pirum. My car glides as I whisper peace like a river. Rain blots employ my Nissan wiper blades. I drive warmly in radio time. Outside, autumn's coveted, colorant streets, I see broken people in lines, tents and canopies. Tenements of broken glass, hellish alleyways, without reason, hope, or happiness. The future is brought to us by floating strangers on television. The space station thumbs $1 billion salutation, circling the earth daily, where there are no lines below us and no starvation. Passing a clipboard and zero gravity for grins, a window to the stars, multicolored exit stare. Mapping space clouds and solar flares to view what is changing in the ever now. The broken people are now small infinitesimal dots, scattered in purpose, primordially lost. Spacesuit bodies on a stardust rock. And this is something I just wrote within the last couple days, actually. I think it's close to being finished. I'm not sure. We'll find out. It's called Backyard Mercy. And the apricots fell unseen onto the soft summer ground, dropping and bouncing in some symphonic symmetry. Released from the bowers of green floral polemony. Honeybees zoom free, their work done, turning pollen into nectarine complexity. Heaven's blue choir sings emanations as Sol's pale fire dome spins rotations. Warm multiplicity for our lost homeless city. And the apricots fell upon the burnt grass of tranquility. Tree limbs waved like a Calder mobile. Soft, quiet economics. Backyard mercy. A blanket for memories. Wind chimes, solar lanterns, left to sway night and day. And the stars hung like apricots in the summer night. their liquid light never touching the golden ground below. And here's one more for you. This is one I wrote about turning 69 years old, which was 2 years ago. Okay, this goes like this. My last 3 days before 69. It's going to be 75 degrees today. I'm almost 70. Gotta drive to hide to stay alive. Willamette Park is where my serenity lies. Black, radiant time and space dismembered. I place paper onto the dashboard. Far below a secret knoll I dreamed love 30 years ago. I wander to my Raglan bench and watch sails unfold. Twit bicyclers and skaters slip past jogger junket path snits. A fenced west hills poodle pup run stole the grass. My bogged perch is just a gentrified carbon footprint. Swimsuits, motorboats, kayaks bob the carp water. Temperate air pulsates the titleaf cemetery. Birch trees, clover, dit-dot daisies hail the singing sun. Blackberries encroach the river's melted shoreline. The beaming light whispers swath lies to the hereafter. Hollow root tubes bloom green flowery inventions. A rowboat ushers distal figures to dip, pull, and paddle. The masks of April spiral and joust. Death's pandemic creation. A cold, dark crow flaps its wings into the slow blue meridian. Our faithful sky begets yet another year of folly. I don't expect the good life of some yesteryear, just a place to choose faith over fear. Like some soul sleeping outside blame, counting miles of tracks without a train, a journey ever farther, ever stranger essentially remains. I could do one more from the book because this is for Kun Woon, who edited my book. So I'll read a poem from the book that I don't normally read. When I've ever read this book, there was a poem or two in here that I never read, so I'm going to read one of the ones I never read. And that would be The Bells of St. Mark's. The endless song of rain pats the glass roof lightly. The church I was wed pulsates holiness. Gregorian drives the mass in a world that never ends. Bells ring on time across the day. We begin to begin again and live for forgiveness. While some drink wine for honesty, some for regret, some for the divinity, some to destroy everyone they have met. Thank you.
Claire, you were mentioning a 30-day sort of poem challenge. I just finished another year of Paul Nelson's postcard poetry project. So each one is a poem that I wrote, and it corresponds to photographs that I took from a few months that I was living in Sevilla, Spain. So the first poem is called On the Line. Yesterday is hung on the line next to Tuesday and Sunday, moments rinsed from interwoven fabric, dissolved and spun away, all that was so important spun into new freshness. That which is rarely seen is lifted and swayed by indifferent wind that blows rooftop to rooftop, sock to towel, to boxers, to dress, commingling our private interiors. And this is a street called Calle Heliotrope, and it is where an old hat factory used to be. And the poem is called La Fábrica. Unnamed on the map, a jester's street tempts me to walk past long vacant doorways, every inch of wall painted with lively images or graffiti. Once this area housed a hat factory, now a bastion for hipster artists attempting a cooperative. I turn left to a breezeless corner, feel the hand-trimmed felt hat rest briefly on my head, then vanish. This is the Iglesia de San Luis de los Franceses, and the poem is called Swing Dancing Outside the Old Church. Unfashionable to kneel, unthinkable to surrender, hard-hearted and closed-minded, We look for answers with a finger swipe, forget what comes when we fall to our knees, whisper secret longings and terrors, pour our thanks onto the ground, into song, toward the domed chapel within. This was outside the University of Seville. The poem is called The Chase. Footsteps echo, thieves absconding with our prismatic promises, doubt refracting, our place on the checkerboard no longer safe. We too must run, pockets filled with stolen dreams, coins pressed with the now extinct guacamaya azul, the yellow carbonara toad, the red panda, allowing our leaving to resound, hope unleashed, reverberating, distorted into grief. Okay, I think there's time for two more. This is called On Watch. There are witnesses, always witnesses, to the wartime pillage of art, to the acts of charity that bring dignity to the forgotten. Inside ornate gold and silver, a counterpoint to the Black Death. This is how we continue to live, ostentatious facades distracting from what happens on the street, and still a witness with glowing green eyes. And this is the last one, and it's called The Price Tag Read 8,000 Euro. In the not-for-tourists antiquities shop, lace mantillas drape the feet of the baby Jesus, the one-armed statue of St. Bartholomew, the dark and dusty canvas of the Virgin Mary, eyes cast upward in supplication. I follow her gaze to another Mary and another, the quiet contemplation inviting all the displaced and discarded to pause, take solace in this hidden chapel. Thank you.
So the first poem I'd like to read is 20 years old, and it was written the day after 9/11. It's a 9/11 poem because this Saturday will be 20 years since 9/11. And it's called Oh. Oh, say, can you see all the angels are people? People are falling, buildings are burning, and people are falling. The towers have staggered and still the plane's coming. It's coming, it's coming. The hardwired jaws of apocalypse open. They open, they open. Oh, can you see? 0 planes coming, death numbers numbing. The towers are tumbling. Oh, say, can you see? Not God playing dice, not his punishment, no, but apocalypse now. It's now, it's now. The needle of now is stuck on the spinning, is stuck on the nightmare, is opening jaws so the skyway is falling. This is hell and we're in it. This is hell, this is hell, this is hell, this is now. Hell is now, hell is terror, and we're in it together. The devil is faceless. Oh, say, can you see? Can you face now the faceless? A hole in the sky and the skyline keeps burning and people keep falling. Stop planes in the rerun. Run out in the street to stop people from falling. Our smoke is in space. Our whole world is burning. No thing but terror. The answer, survival. Everyone down in a whale that is burning. Policemen and firemen, friends who won't leave us. And people on cell phones, I'm dying, I love you. Do we know what has happened? This is evil triumphant. The face of the faceless is jaw wired open. Oh, say, can you see any hole in this nightmare where towers are tumbling and people are running and blue sky is falling? Oh, say, can you see anything but a nightmare of ashes and rubble and noise in the streets? We fall on our knees like small children who ask, no, it's we who ask children. Kids, can you hear me? The world has exploded. The grown-ups have failed you. Bang your cup, break your pencil, turn away from our lectures and all explanations. Hold each other. Remember, burn your guns, tear your clothing, sit alone by a river. But the rivers are burning. You're too scared to touch them. Oh my God, it's too late to forsake you. It's too late to say no when the angels keep falling, the towers keep burning a hole in the skyway. The plane we're all on is a plane that's been hijacked. We've lost our connection, our marbles on fire. The death toll is mounting. How high can you count them? The rats in our houses are gnawing ice cream while the fireball's burning. Oh, some have been laden. Children are laden with nightmare and fire. Oh, say, can you hear terror calling your name? Your child on the cell phone and all of us dying. We are the angels and all of us fallen and falling. There's no faith, no hope, no God but one God, a love God, a circus God, a God who will swallow our daggers of fire, a God to believe in, who will believe us, not leave us, or nothing will stay of us or our children in ashes. Oh, say, can we say love? Can we see love? Can we be love right now? If so, say and pray for tomorrow. No more terror, no more terror, no more terror, no more. Okay, something a little different. This is my most recent poem, and I don't think very many people will like it. I like it because it expresses, it's about Sylvia Plath. And when I was growing up, I wanted to be Sylvia Plath, and I kept trying to kill myself and prove that I was a big poet and just like Sylvia Plath. And then that turned to anger. And so now when I read her, I don't think she's a great poet, and I feel a lot of anger toward her. So this is Sister Sylvia. And the epigraph is, I think I feel the same anger towards Sylvia she felt toward her father, from CC. Sister mine, stun-suckered bride, baking sacks of words with pride, ghastly girl with logic muddy, your gnawed lips made my cup bloody. You like the feel moist with fear of breath death spraying those too near. We who loved you paid the cost, lived for years in charred exhaust. Unrestrained and thin and flat, you pulled red hair from history's hat, a crouching under porch's panzer, gulping mommy's pills for answer. You messed me up with ways you had, Godiva on a gelded dad. You said that you were Jewish, yes, cocktailing in cotillion dress. I craved your bob, your bettied eyes that laughed at my pathetic tries. Kamikaze crashing space, Valentine with strychnine lace. No brouhaha then, no boo-hoo. Just tape, the gas, the oven, you. Now I'd like to read a poem from my book. Just came out a month and a half ago, or a couple months, and it's all sestinas and villanelles with a couple of parallels thrown at the end. And it's divided into 3 sections: male voices, women's voices, male voices, female voices, and gender fluid voices. And that's to prevent, some of my poems are written from a male perspective, and I didn't want people to misread them. So I'd like to read a villanelle from, it's in a sestina. So in this villanelle is a response for Raj. Raj is a very moving poem about a similar situation. It's called Back North. Days whiz by like beads or boxcars. I lost track of barred crossings, suckled by the Georgia stall of everything, myself included. I'm back where birch goes begging like altered brides, and black willows gainsay white hopes, downcast widows all. Days whiz by like beads or boxcars. I lost track of green-bladed pockets, dimes rich with the smack of palmers. Cats' cradles nip the budding fall of everything, myself included. I'm back where dusk used to slide home as if at the crack of a bat, the white arc of an uncaught ball. Days whiz by like beads or boxcars. I lost track of undershirted girls who taught me the knack of two-fingered groping in the crumbling wall of everything, myself included. I'm back to back, dueling the woman in white. Nuns call old prescription from their stations down the hall. Days whiz by like beads or boxcar. I lost track of everything, myself included. I'm back. And then I read a sestina, sort of on the more hopeful, and on a more hopeful note. So this is called Ned's aria. Beginnings, yes, but who knows how things will end. As a feverish child singing in my everyday sickbed, I didn't. Neither did my seamstress mother, forced to bend every night over her own lap, biting off thread as she sewed. She said, the truth isn't in wine or song. If you want the truth, you have to divine it like underground water with a stick, not try to define it as yours. But the one truth worth knowing, we learn at the end. My Sunday school teachers didn't confine themselves to the truth. Sing at the table, sing in bed, they told me. The devil will get you when you're dead. They really thought, I thought as well, God would send singers of love songs to hell. But my path there took a sudden bend in high school when my art teacher praised the romantic, divine Fragonard. She said classicism was hanging by a thread. His swinging girl, her half-off shoe, marked its end. I hung a poster of that girl above my bed. I could almost hear her singing. Some nights I'd dream her fine blue day, her lover, her afterworld were mine. I'd swing into heaven on a song, but that dream would end in daylight guilt. My covers at the foot of my bed. Mom said, you need dates, Lynn, a cocktail party line. Her words wandered. When she finally found the deep end of her life, her mind bent over and bit off the thread of her thought. Ned, my college voice coach, said, you're hopeless. I love you. Ned drank too much wine, but he wove my name into an aria. He became my friend, my confidant, my lover. The school year came to an end and Ned had no job. He got drunk and enlisted one fine May day. 9 months later, his last letter home said, music obscures the truth. When I'm lying in bed some nights, the aria Ned rewrote for me starts to thread its way through the dark of my mind like a musical vine. The ticking clock is a metronome then, not a mine. I hear his love song coming from beyond the bend. Cred ilin ben, cred me amen. A sword hangs by a thread above the bed I call mine. I hope our spirits will blend into mercy like music at the end. It's a hope I savor like wine. Thank you.